So, in general, I mean, we've kind of talked around about it, but mostly, I think we're of a very similar opinion. It's the organisation of Speedway, and not just in the UK, it's everywhere other than Poland.
Yeah.
Michael and I had a very interesting chat with the guy that's trying to bring it back to life in Denmark.
Yeah.
It used to be one of the biggest speedway nations in the world. That was where all your world champions came from.
Yeah.
So why is it gone down so far?
I mean, Poland is on a completely different level.
Yes.
Like that is, it's not the same. It's not the same thing. Because sometimes I think about it, like you have like, for example, Dan and Robert, who are riding for my team. Like when they go to Poland, they ride for Wrocław and Torun, and it's like big arenas and all that. And then they come to our place, and I mean, we have a pretty decent place, but then it's like they go to the Swedish meetings, and it's nothing compared to that. And I don't know, I wonder like genuinely what they prefer, because maybe it's nicer to ride at the smaller venues, but then again it's like, does it feel a bit like
a letdown?
Yeah, like you change, because have you seen like the pits in Poland?
Yeah.
Like they have full-on TV screens and everyone has their own, it's like the GP. And then you look here, it's like, oh, it's a little wooden shed.
Yeah.
Do you wanna stand here? It's like it's so
like something from the future.
Yeah.
Some places are even worse. They're like some places they're nice and wide and open. Other places, you know, it's quite tight and narrow. They haven't been on top of each other.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, it's such a big sport in like Poland.
Not here.
It's their national sport, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's why there's a lot of money in it. It's pretty easy to figure out, but I'm like thinking from like their perspective, it must be like, oh, I'm gonna be here, big arena, so many fans, blah blah blah, and then they go to like Sweden, and it's like, oh, hello, you like this little wooden shelf?
Well, that I'm sorry, but that's how it used to be in Poland.
Yeah, but now it's like,
and now it's just all, and it's all been down to organisation and how it got organised. And the UK used to be the place that people wanted to come to hone their skills. If you go to Poland, by and large, the Polish tracks are big, flat, and wide.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not an expert. I have been on a speedway bike, but it's, if you can go fast, it doesn't take a lot of skill to ride those tracks.
Yeah.
Smaller tracks in Sweden, in Denmark, in the UK. Germany and France are a bit different because they're a combination of speedway tracks and grass tracks. You know, some of their speedway tracks, you think, are you sure that's a speedway track? Because there is no safety fence whatsoever. It's just this big expanse of grass. So there isn't actually anything for them to bounce off of. So equally, there isn't a dirt line. So it's down to skill. You know, but
I agree.
It's different disciplines. And Poland have gone the way, when they've been improving their tracks, they've gone for the, let's see if we can design a track that will suit our fastest riders. See who can go fastest. Speedway is not about going fastest. More people get more enjoyment from somebody coming last that has maybe done overtaking with one or two riders and then got pushed back, and that's a much better racing.
It's more exciting to watch.
I would rather have a race where you had like about like 8 or 10 passes, like it's close and it keeps changing, all the battling back and forth. Because if you just have a race where you just go from the day, you do it in 10 seconds, you turn them after 2 laps.
Yeah.
I mean, I love watching like when someone has a great start and then they just zoom away, but then it's like after a while it gets quite boring.
Yeah,
it's like I actually want to see things happen, and then
I find when there's races like that, if I'm doing text, it literally you can even start tired before the end of the heat. If you've got heat where you've got like lots of passing, then you find then you come into like days before the race, you still haven't done because it just takes so long to type all the comms. I've had that before, and I'm literally pressing send as the tapes go up, and I feel like what's happened there? It's like madness sometimes.
Don't try that at Glasgow, Elliot. We had a race the other day at Glasgow, and our two Danish riders were out there on a 5-1. They went out in the 5-1 on the first lap, and they carried on the 5-1, and they carried on the 5-1, and then just as they were coming up to the tapes, Uli's bike did a backflip, and Uli nearly ended up in the stands.
Ouch.
Ouch.
He's broken his hand, hasn't he?
Yes.
Yes.
Wasn't the last meeting really done on Sundays? I saw the text that was doing that meeting. They were absolutely like an essay for some of the heats.
They were what, some of the heats? What did you say there?
Yeah, I think about like an essay, like loads of writing, loads of like words. Some of the heats were like read and meeting.
There was lots of different talking points, shall we say?
Yeah.
Although that banking at Glasgow has a big say in that. Because you can go up the banking and then you can slingshot and then you're like, hang on a minute, they were last and not they're first.
Yeah.
Aren't people saying that Burnham's been one of the best tracks this season, but we still can't pull the figures? And I just don't get it. Like, we do the best racing, but we still can't pull like the riders in. And then the Walls track is well worse, but we still get more. I just don't get it at all.
Yeah.
It's because you're doing well and winning at Wolverhampton. It's because Brummies are doing like so badly, we're rock bottom of the league. And we can't put out for 1 to 7 every week. There's no appeal going to see a load of guests every week.
I'm just looking forward to the problem on Monday when all the 6 teams are rising and what do teams do to like replay, because there's a few injuries. I'm just thinking, what do you do about, you know, you do wide replacement, who do you bring in for a death? It's going to be really interesting on Monday.
You don't, you use rider replacement basically.
But some teams got more than one rider out. But I've heard Idris might be making a couple of signings, so we'll see what happens by Monday. Yeah,
because this is the time when they can do the signings before the playoffs, isn't it?
Well, the deadline after Monday, I've heard you can't make any more because they'll have to do it before 75% of the meetings have completed. I think it's Monday or Thursday next week. I think sometime next week. That's it then for the Premiership.
You can't be that far off for the Championship either. Have ours closed? Can't remember.
Well, there'll be only a handful of meetings left because your season finishes at the end of August. All the Championship does.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for the playoffs.
Yeah, but I don't know how you've heard from the Championship, got all their fixtures done by the end of August, and then the Premiership we're still down to the middle of like towards the end of September. They don't seem to organise it as well.
Because there's so many gaps in the fixture list.
You've only got 6 teams. We've got, what is it, 11?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've only got 6 teams, and yet we're done and dusted before you are.
It's mental, isn't it?
And I know we've had these Premiership pair nights, so we've had to have 6 blank nights for that. But then there's still sometimes only one fixture on a night. Where's the other fixture?
You've also had that Jubilee competition in the Championship, haven't you, Lynn, as well?
Yes. So
we've just wrapped that up at Birmingham.
Yeah. There's one in Scotland, and is there 1 or 2 in England?
There's 2 in England. There's 1 in the middle where you've got Newcastle, Redcar, Sunthorpe, and Leicester. Then one is like, well, there's meant to be Newcastle, and then you've got the Southern group, which is like Birmingham, Oxford, Paul, and Plymouth.
There was a North and South, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and there's something, but the winner of each one, they then play each other.
Yeah, I don't know when they'll do that at Sheffield. They've now done fit the Wolves fixture in as well. They just seem like impossible on dates. And after today, when I heard earlier on, people have turned up to the meeting. Don't know how. There hasn't been advertised properly. They've turned up to the meeting, got to the track. There's quite a few people there, and they're all looking at why is there no meeting? The weather's perfect. Why is there no meeting? I couldn't sort of get why it was off.
Organisational skills.
But that's not just organisation, because the people that turned up are the people that don't use social media.
Correct, that's what it was. They didn't use, there's on the thing, we don't use social media, so we haven't hit social media. And some people haven't checked the website. They just presumed it will be on because the weather was a brilliant day.
Yeah, but to be perfectly honest, that's how Speedway should be. People should be able to say, oh, it's a nice evening, let's go to a Speedway match. It'll be on.
And because that was on the fixture list, you just turned up and it wasn't that. It was like a greyhound. Just about like some damage to the fence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
I
they've
know
been
some people have
relaying a
lost
new ground
hotel
track,
money.
haven't they?
Now, some people lost like hotel and train, like hotel money. So people have booked hotels. Some people decide still just to go anyway, but not cheap this time of year now. That's one problem now because you've got all the everything's done up. Petrol price have done up like ridiculously. Something that puts people off travelling like they used to as well to meetings.
Well, it's not
Yeah.
cheap going on public transport either.
No.
What was it? It cost me going to the British final on Monday. It was £41, but I managed to get it cheaper by splitting the tickets. If I hadn't have done that, it would have been something like 60 odd. So it's not cheap on public transport either.
I think of when I went to the bank holiday one, the train, when was it, East, that was 31 quid there and back. But then sometimes if you go in a car, it can be all right to go in the car, but if you don't on your own, it's cheap pricey on people. If you know a couple of people, then you can afford it makes it a bit cheaper then because you can share the petrol costs as well then.
Yeah.
And no parking costs.
Cornelia, are you seeing this in Sweden as well? I know in some of the European countries are seeing inflation, cost of living is getting higher. Are you seeing similar problems, Sweden?
It is insane. It's crazy actually. Like the prices of everything is going up. So I mean, but yeah, especially with like gas and stuff, like people going places. That's why a bunch of us, like, not a bunch of us, but we have a group of people that go, and we always like go in one car because it's not worth it. So we always time it in, like, so everyone's schedules match up so we can go together. It's cheaper that way. And also because our, like, how do you say, like, does it count as an arena? I'm going to call it an arena. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Our track. It's located in such a weird place. It's like in the middle of the forest.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't really. There is a bus that is like that our team has that you can go from like I don't know exactly where it goes, but from like in town and from other places. But yeah, since it's located in such a strange spot, it's like you can't really take like a train or another bus because it's like it's like just a turn from a roundabout before a highway. So it's just in the middle of the forest. So you can't get there any other way other than like bus,
transport.
car. A lot of people, I've seen people biking though, but that's also very Swedish. People don't have any self-respect. No, I'm kidding. But like they just go biking into the middle of the forest. I'm just thinking maybe there will be a moose.
We have that problem here in the UK as well because I know me and We've have tracks there like right on the doorstep. You're buzzing it easy on a car, but like Sam, I know we have like Sunthorpe and there's like Mindendale as well and a couple of other tracks. I know Kindling comes like that as well, but you just go into like the middle of like an industrial estate or the middle of like fields and you can't. The only way you can get there is by a car. There's no other option.
Buxton was always a pain, right in the middle of the Peak District.
And Scunthorpe as well.
Yeah, I've just said that. I was thinking that myself. It's Mindendale can be another issue as well. That's a bit in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, Millville.
So you've actually got the swings and roundabouts. If you put it where there's public transport, then it's going to be near where people live. And then they might not be Speedway fans, so they'll complain about the noise.
Yeah.
So you put it somewhere where nobody can complain about the noise, but there's no transport to it.
Yeah.
You
can't win.
You need to get it sorted. And I know Poland seems to be a little bit of a closed shop with their organisation, but surely to goodness there's people within World Speedway that know what Poland did to get from the the sheds and the grass that they used to have to the really lovely stadiums that they have now with all mod cones.
0 to hero, as
Yeah.
I put it.
Massive
Because-
over the top.
I mean, when I was watching Speedway in the 70s, people hated going to Poland because it was so primitive,
Hmm.
you know, and there would actually be a part of the pits that got absolutely no shade from the sun. So when you went to race in Poland, and of course, that's where the opposition went,
Mm.
you know, and you know, you would bake in the sunshine, and it was a well-known trick.
Is
Tactic.
there rivalry in other countries as well? Because I know in Britain we're quite like relaxed and more speak to the other fans, but I know in some countries they don't quite rivalry, don't they, as well? Madame, about mix.
Is it Bydgoszcz and Torun? There's a rivalry. There's a rival with Wrocław and somebody. I can't remember who. It's just that there's a Polish gentleman that comes to Glasgow a lot, and he was telling me about the various local rivalries within Poland, and they get quite passionate about it. You know, I suppose a little bit like the Liverpool-Everton passionate.
Well, you see that just from watching Toivofinen's vlogs. When he's
Yeah.
at a Spartan match and the fans are going mental.
Mhm. I can't remember who their local rival is, but there is one. You know,
Is that because it's more like their big sport in Poland? Here it's like a lesser sport, so the rivalry is not as strong as well.
it never
No,
used to be their major sport, though. They've built that up.
I'd still say the rivalries. There's some pretty big rivalries in this country.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you don't get like the fans like they don't have like in massive battles. Everyone's quite friendly, aren't they, in this country generally?
Wait till you get to Edinburgh, yeah.
I've come across some Wolves fans that are a bit too proud in recent seasons.
But you can
Yeah.
have that with all clubs. I know Wegpart have been like that when they've come in last year and they had all their issues.
Yes, let's not go into that.
I'm not going to go into that, but it's just that's another thing, and other clubs as well. But you always have the odd few fans that are really passionate, but the majority you can deal with quite well. There's not really an issue.
They're just in it for the love of Speedway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit like ice hockey in this country. I mean, we have a big ice hockey team in Nottingham, and
Yes,
it's
I
a
know
bit.
because Elliot and myself are Coventry Blaze fans.
Oh, are you? Okay, cool,
Yes.
cool, good.
Very fun in the Speedway world. It's Speedway ice
Yeah,
hockey.
it's a good crossover, isn't it? Speedway and
Yeah.
ice hockey, I think. But it's similar in some ways, isn't it? In the sense that
Mm.
you almost feel you're a community because you're all like the same sport, so you don't mind the rivalry in the same way, do you? I mean, that said, Nottingham and Sheffield are not going to get on. They don't get on very well at all. But you still got respect because you think, well, we both like the same sport, and it's not one of the biggest sports in this country, so you always got that in common. Maybe because it's bigger in Poland, maybe it's more like football crowds. I don't know.
Don't we have some? Yeah, just I've become a bit tackly, can't it? But I suppose in this country, I think it's quite calm. To be honest, everyone's quite friendly. You can have like, I don't know, I don't like Bellew or Sheffield. I don't know, a Wolves fan. You just like you're sitting right in the middle of a load of Sheffield fans. You can just get on. It doesn't seem to be a problem. If you're like shouting for different riders of anything, generally, I find as well.
No, you're right. I mean, I go to Berwick even when Glasgow's not in Berwick, and I go to Edinburgh. It's just that if there's no Speedway on in Glasgow, I'll just go to wherever happens to be open. Now, I think we're quite lucky in the north because our Speedway is on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So you've got Edinburgh and Glasgow on the Friday. You've got Berwick on the Saturday, and you've got Redcar, and you did have Newcastle on the Sunday. And I know that Scunthorpe used to be a Sunday. It's only recently changed to a Friday.
Didn't
do
Glasgow
still
used to
run.
be a Sunday at one point?
That's right, but Glasgow used to be a Friday years ago, and then we changed to a Sunday because when we moved into Ashfield, and there was Edinburgh kicked up a stink because they said that because Glasgow ran on the Friday and the Vicennas had put in all this money, people were going to Glasgow and not going to Edinburgh because they are relatively close together. And Edinburgh said, "You're stealing all our fans." And we went, well, no, not really. But it's settled down now. But having it on a Friday, a Saturday, or a Sunday is terrific. If people are working through the week, you know, you can usually negotiate an earlier finish on a Friday or a late start on a Monday, book a long weekend, and then you've got your choice of days.
Yeah.
I find if it's a Thursday, it's probably not as bad because some people then go, well, I won't do it on the Friday. But then, I suppose if you've got like a Monday or a Wednesday, it makes it hard then because middle of the week, isn't it? People get less fans on those days.
Yeah, but it's no good for me. I can't get to Wolverhampton from Glasgow for a Thursday match or a Monday match. I can
Yeah,
get
that's a lot. That's what a lot of people off. We don't. Like I noticed, we've got like Sheffield or Bellew, people will travel. But say if you've got somewhere like Lynn or Ittrich, they won't travel because like it's a 4-hour journey each way.
Yeah. I mean, I will stretch a point, and I have in the past gone to Manchester for an evening meeting. You know, granted, it's a mad dash down motorway finishing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, I went to Kindling, was it July, and that was leaving work 3:15, I think, remember right. And then there was a Dr. Peter, but lovely. They got there at like 5 o'clock, and there was like some accident in Peterborough, some traffic. So I ended up going there like 7:15, but I meant to be there a lot early. But it can sometimes be like a bush and just let you a bit of stress, especially at the bush area with traffic on top. It's meant to take one time, and then I find Queen's back it can be worse than dead in there normally on a don't know why. I find there's always like these like funny roadworks or diversions. So you end up looking at one route, they end up doing a total different route to what you've come, and you get like lost.
Yes, because it's easier to close roads at night than during the day.
Yeah.
Hence the road closures.
But you end up being lost, so you don't know a different way. You think, why the hell am I doing this way? I wouldn't go this way naturally, but you have to. You have no choice.
That's where Google Maps comes in handy.
Yes. Oh, what you do, and then you look. Sometimes I don't sat nav on the way there, and I have to on the way back. I know over the close that you have to have the sat nav on because you can't win if you don't.
Yeah.
So how do you find it, Cornelia? Because it's Tuesdays and Thursdays it's on in Sweden, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mostly Tuesdays and then sometimes it's Thursdays. So my team was racing both Tuesday and Thursday this week. I mean, I think it's also just because we have to like prioritize the riders. We like, what's it called in English? Oh, my brain.
Race nights, different priorities, isn't it? Only certain nights you can have.
Yeah, it's like because we know that sometimes we can't have our riders because they're going to be riding in Poland the next day. So they have the first say. I know one time we had Dan gone and the other team, which was Västervik, which was the one we were against tonight. They had Gleb Shugunov because they're both on Wrocław's team because they were riding the next day. So it's like they have first say on if the riders can be there or not. So I think and I think that was actually a Thursday meeting. So we have to like prioritize the schedule based on that because we have a lot of Polish riders.
Well, Polish have first pick on all countries. They seem to have first pick on everything these days now. They have like this fixed league rule.
But they have the most
not
money.
happy if you take too many league riders. They pay them a lot more. It's just ridiculous.
Money.
But I mean, they have the big money. It's pretty easy.
But they run mostly on Sundays.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Fridays and Sundays I've seen.
Yeah,
quite a lot.
And then obviously Sweden have Tuesday normally, don't they? Denmark normally have Wednesday, I think.
Yeah.
And then we have Monday and Thursday for the top league. So that makes it a bit hard. I find that's the problem you have in the championship as well, isn't it? Because somewhat they won't let the locals won't do Sunday now because if they want to ride in Poland or the lower first or second league, they can't commit to it, can they? I know Newcastle had a real trouble this year trying to put a team together because of that.
Yeah.
It's Denmark that tends to be on a Wednesday, isn't it?
That's it. Yes, Denmark on a Wednesday. That affects us and Paul and
Mhm,
Oxford as well.
Yeah.
mhm.
Because that's why we get a lot of Danes riding for Glasgow, because Glasgow's on a Friday, and previously it was on a Sunday, which suited the Danes down to the ground.
I mean, I suppose then you just have to try to arrange your Wednesday pictures then for that month where they have their summer break. Don't you just have like a hit? Don't that's how the calendar people try and do it, don't they?
Mm. Well, that's a logical thing to do, Elliot.
Yeah, that's a logical thing to do, but like sometimes we don't do that in this country.
That just doesn't happen.
Yes.
Like running fixtures during the week the Speedway of Nations is on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we were having kittens in Glasgow because it was like you had the Speedway of Nations, you had Brock was away on for the Wednesday one, and
May not come back.
we didn't know whether he was going to come back or not. And Ben Basso and Tom Brennan were in the
Under
the
21.
Friday one, and on the Saturday so they didn't ride at Edinburgh for us. On the Saturday, Tom Brennan got whatever flight he normally got back, and Ben Basso's flight was cancelled.
I remember you telling us this.
And on the Saturday night, we're sitting there, it's a 7 o'clock start at Berwick, and at 10 to 7, the centre green guy made an announcement and said, well, Ben Basso hasn't arrived yet because his plane just landed in Edinburgh at 6 o'clock. So we have agreed to give Glasgow an extra 10 minutes. Big whoop. But it was really funny. I can give Ben his due. He got changed in the taxi into his Kevlars, and he arrived at the stadium, and his bikes were there, but they weren't like set up to his liking. He likes a bit of a fiddle beforehand, or his mechanic does that. His mechanic was with him on the plane. So they came roaring into the stadium. We could see into the pits from where we were standing. And we saw this taxi coming in, and this person just coming nose first out, complete with the Kevlars. Somebody threw a helmet at him. The 2 minutes were on for his heat. And Daniel Hume chucked a bike at him and said, use this. And out he went, bang. And he was off like a rocket. And somebody else fell off. The race was called back. It was all 4 back. But in the time it took them to do that, and they got back into the pits, Ben's own bike was ready. So he jumped onto that and went out and won the race. I mean, that's obviously the way to do it. Miss your flight, just come out of a taxi, have them getting changed in a taxi. It's unreal. But and Leon Flint went out, but potentially Connor Bailey's also in the GB squad, and he was invited out. Could have been invited out, and you start to think, what's the point in having so many good riders in your team if they keep getting pinched for all these things while you're still trying to win a trophy?
Yeah.
I think Paul had the same issue as well because they had a couple of rides that they had taken out on Friday. So
Yeah, because they have Aussies.
They were having to work together on Friday, I think. Paul and the Birmingham match to try and make up 2 good teams. I just don't know why they had to have so many meetings on that week. It didn't seem very logical when you've got so many spare weeks coming up as well.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, the Speedway Nations was on the calendar for July 1st. So what the BSBA were thinking is beyond me.
Yeah. I mean,
it was on the
we've
calendar.
got next year's calendar's up.
Exactly.
2023 calendar's up for the international matches. So why are the British promoters not working around that? It's like you meet people on Christmas Eve going, how did Christmas come so quick? It's at the same time every year.
Last year it wasn't as quick because the season didn't finish till November.
That's true.
You hit on a wider point as well, though, don't you? And the wider point is there's just not enough riders. I mean, definitely in Britain, there's just not enough riders. That's why we have so many doubling up. And you can't run a squad, because if you could have a squad, couldn't you? And you could almost have a tail of riders who you bring in when you need to, and they're still affiliated with your club, so you don't get the Plymouth kind of Birmingham fixture the other night. But we haven't got enough riders, have we? And some of that is because if they've got a choice, they choose other countries at the moment. And there is talk about Poland kind of maybe relaxing this rule a little bit. I think I've heard that. So hopefully that means we'll start getting more of the better riders down. But it's still, I don't know. We seem to have a lot of youngsters coming through, though. I mean, me and Lynn on our podcast, a lot of the guys we talk to are the younger guys coming through. So there's definitely a lot of interest from the younger guys and the youths stepping up. But we just haven't got enough riders. That seems to be one of the fundamental problems. And
we have actually started to get the youth system more organised in the UK, in that they've now got a programme of, you've got this meeting and then there's this meeting, so the parents can actually plan ahead.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be we will have so many meetings, weather permitting, at these different venues, and it wasn't just quite as regimented and organised as it is now. So there is actually a natural progression now, which helps.
We have these junior leagues, don't we? Then we have these youth championships as well, which is quite a good thing that they put on, and the junior leagues. The only thing that sometimes the junior league, a lot of clubs like shelve it out. So they don't, like every club doesn't do one, or they don't like promote it enough, or if the main meeting goes a bit behind, they don't like try and push through the meet so they can still get it to take part.
See, look, this is my opinion. I'll make this known, but we run a MDL club at Birmingham, the Birmingham Bulls. But if you combine the Premiership Junior League and the MDL, you'd have a bigger league, because in the MDL at the minute there's only 3 teams. There's us, Wolverhampton, and Kent.
Yeah.
So if you combine the two and you split it into North and South, you'd have a bigger league and a more competitive league, which would help bring the kids on, make the jump to National League quicker. Then they'd be able to, you'd have to close the gap between the Championship and the National League, and then they'd make the jump bigger, and we'd be producing more riders year on year.
But the other point that Elliot was making is that sometimes they're there for a meeting at the end of a meeting. And then they say, oh no, it's run over, we can't have it. Well, we were talking to Barry Bishop, who runs the Isle of Wight stuff. And what they do is they have, like, if I can remember right, they had 3 or 4 heats of the big boys. And then they have a quick
in the middle.
And then they put them in while the big boys have a rest.
Well, that would make sense.
2 heats.
So they were doing to do that. One meeting we went to at Mindendale, the Danny Ayres challenge, and they got a bit shelved because there was issues with the track, so they couldn't run it like that in the end because the pace was slowing down too much. But that does make a good idea. I think you're giving both riders a chance to do both meetings then.
Yeah.
Because I know sometimes they've travelled like, I know we've had I think Wolves are meant to have like Kent tried this year in the MDL, and they've travelled like 200 odd miles, and they've made like 1 heat, and sometimes it's not happened because of weather and things like that. And it's just not fair on the riders then. They travel that way and they can't do a meeting.
Well, it's like we spoke to James Jessup and Ben Trigger, and they're both based in the south. And yes, I know I deliberately didn't ask Ben to come on this one because he was on last week, you know. But they have come up to Glasgow for a meeting, and it's not happened. I mean, and that's 400 miles there and 400 miles back.
Yeah.
So it's not fair.
You know, we're talking about this junior league. The Premiership Junior League is only 3 teams in each league. It's the same as the MDL. We don't even do it with the whole 5 teams in there, 6 teams in there. Don't get why we have to just have 2 teams in the league. It just doesn't seem right.
So again, if you put them together, you'd have more of a league.
Yeah,
correct.
Again, just my opinion.
So, I mean, I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember a film. Michael, you'll remember it. The Field of Dreams. Did you ever watch the film?
Oh, yeah.
Dreams? Yeah. It's about a guy trying to revive baseball in his hometown. And he had this big line in the film, if you build it, they will come. So we need to build a structure. And once we have a structure and we can let people know about the structure, and then they can come in. Because doing this piecemeal, we've got this just now, so we'll do this little bit, and we'll do this little bit, and we'll improve this. No. You actually need the structure. And then start filling the structure.
The whole thing needs scrapping and starting again.
There's a lot of problems with the British League on that, just in general. I know there could be a lot more things done better, but it's not done right. They could do with having an outside body look at it, where not the promoters making a second opinion when they're trying to support their own clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not open that can of worms, otherwise we'll be out.
We'll be all night.
I'm just making a point. I didn't really want to open another conversation on that.
But as people can probably see and hear, what we've done here tonight is we've got fans from a spectrum: Premiership, Championship, International, Sweden. But the other thing they have in common, which they don't have in common with me, is they're all young. So there is an interest in that late teens, early 20s age group. And yes, I know that I knew you previously from another thing, but where we generally meet online, there's how many's on the Discord server? There's about 1,200.
I think it's more than that now. I'll have a look.
Yeah, because they would lose a handful of people that do the voice thing. They're young people.
That's true. But I would say the average age on there would be about 21.
But I think there's quite a lot of younger ones. At least, like, I mean,
isn't it because a lot of older people don't use that kind of social media like that as well? Generally,
quite possibly. But that is a forum for Speedway, people that have an interest in Speedway, to get together online.
I have to say that I give Ty so much credit for that, because I think he's using his platform in a really smart way. Both him using it for like his YouTube, all that. It gives, because that's one thing me and my sister have spoken about quite a lot. Like for the previous seasons in the GP, when you've had the Talking Dirt videos, I really like that because you get to know the riders more. I think that's really interesting because you get a bit more involved, other than it's just, oh, here's someone, that's their name, blah blah blah, they ride for this team, that's where they're from. It's just like you don't really feel a connection to them, and I think that's quite difficult to get really invested in. And that's like, I loved watching those Talking Dirt videos, and now I do really like watching Ty's vlogs, because you get a different, like, you get an insight into their lives and like what they do, and how you see like how they have like their relationships with other riders, and I really appreciate that. And then also the Discord server, he really uses his platform to reach out to the other people, and I really love having like a community. Now all the Swedish people on the server, they are very distant. They are never saying anything, so I've just started talking to all of you guys, which don't let anyone know this, but you guys are better, so don't worry. I've had
right at the start, within the first week or so the Discord server was open, it was mostly Polish people, but luckily they spoke English.
There's a lot of Polish people, but I think also we are on the server, it's just mostly we're like 10 people that just keep like rotating the having like conversations. But I've made some really good friends, and I truly appreciate that, because I do not know like any people my age here in my town that actually watches Speedway or is interested in any kind of way, and I truly appreciate that a lot. And I love having like being able to talk about it, because like it's not so fun to talk to your sister about it every time. because I mean we're there at the same time.
Yep, I get
We
that.
have the same
My
opinions pretty much. It's really fun to see, and then also for me to be able to watch like like the British teams and all that. It's really fun for me because I think sometimes the Swedish league, it gets a bit like you know everything, you know how it's gonna go. It's pretty predictable. So I think it's really fun to be able to like join a little community and find out more and seeing people's opinions and stuff. I really appreciate that, and I think Ty has done a really, really good job with like the outreach.
And if we could get that to spill over into real life a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people down to the online just keep themselves to themselves. I think there's a lot more of we need to get a lot more younger people involved in down to the sport as well. I think a lot more open the doors, because that's what's going to happen one day. If you need to get the younger generation down to watch, don't you? A lot more promotion on that as well.
Maybe the kids club at Birmingham needs a teenage bit as well. Something to think about.
Well, that's another thing, because that would be something to maybe link up with when you've got your new team sorted out, to link up with the younger riders, link them up with the teenage ones.
Other thing as well is we need to like the local clubs in the area need to make sure you put in fans in as well, because you've got like over here we've got two got Wolves and quite close to each other, but then like in some area you've got like no clubs near to each other. So some people are paid to travel that hour, aren't they, to don't support another team as well on the same week. Like I do, I know when people do it, but it's just if you don't do a team and do the calibre behind you, not do fighting spirit, people will be paid to travel that half an hour to go to a match twice a week.
I think you need an incentive between local clubs, so like Leicester, Wolves,
discounts as well.
Birmingham. If you've got a season ticket, you can get in for like a tenner or something. You need that incentive to bring fans from other clubs through the door, because if we don't support each other in this country, we're eventually all just going to die out.
Yeah.
I think that's where Poland is like in a really good situation, because they know that speed racing is not a dying sport there. I think what both like Sweden and like, well, I'm not completely sure about Denmark, but like I'm gonna guess like Denmark and like everywhere, like it's pretty much just dying.
Yeah.
I do apologize if you hear some screaming. It is my cat, and he is yelling at me from outside the door.
But yeah, are struggling, to be fair, because they don't. One of their clubs have announced that they've had to like they've withdrawn for the end of the season. I've heard last couple of days.
Who's that?
I'm not sure which one, but I heard
some
about it.
Yeah, but I mean,
there is contribution in England at the moment with that as well. So I think Poland's probably the only country that are doing quite well in that respect.
Poland knows they can invest the money because they get like it goes around, it works. They put out the money and they get it back in. They have like, it's a whole thing. But like, yeah, we're happy if we get like 2,000 people showing up. We're like, yeah, it's not dying today. Maybe tomorrow, but not today.
We say that, but then in this country we get clubs reopening every now and again, like Oxford this season.
Yes, that's amazing.
It gives you a hope, and you're like, oh, maybe it's not so bad after all. And then you go, oh, this is actually the stark reality of it. You know, there's ups and downs.
People just don't know about it, do they, in this country? I mean, I don't know how you all found your way into it. I guess that would be interesting to know, but, you know, it's kind of like, how many people, I've heard people say, oh, you like Speedway? Oh, I didn't know that was still going. You know, what? You know, people kind of say that as if it used to be big and then it's not really a thing anymore. But I don't know, how did you get into it? Like, you know, because as Lynn's pointed out, we're a little bit older, so we go back a bit further. But what about yourselves? How did you get in? Is it through family or friends, or what got you going?
I've been going to Birmingham since they reopened in 2007. My dad took me to one of the first meetings there, and I was just hooked on it. I've got an old photo somewhere of me and a couple of my friends with Jason Lyons from way back in 2007. I also met my best mate Tyler at Perry Bar. He doesn't live round up in Birmingham anymore. He lives in Somerset, but we've been friends for 15 years now, and it's Speedway that got us together. Yeah, and I've been going ever since. I'm just hooked on Speedway. My mum calls me sad because that's one of the topics I'm really passionate about. But you know, if you're not passionate about stuff, then there's no point, really, is there?
Is you not proud that you started up the kids club? I mean, that sounds like something that should really be getting some high fives for. Really, that's a really cool thing to do.
She just gets frustrated with me talking about Speedway all the time, to be fair.
I think it's like that. So with my mum as well. I think if they don't dash the speed or they don't get interested in it, they don't want to know about it all the time. We need something that talks about that's interesting. Else they don't get a bit bored.
How did you get into it, Elliot?
My dad used to take me about when I used to Wolves probably about 20 odd, probably about the early 2000s. But then I used to that for about years now. But didn't do much like 2000 because he passed away. And then like I used to do a lot more like Speedway updates. So I'm a big fan on that, on the texting and the updating side. That's a big thing I've done for years. I work on lots of different clubs, and that's the thing I've got into. And then obviously now I used to do Birmingham every Wednesday night on the update side for years. And then Ventus I come into their club in, was it 19, Woo?
Yeah.
Remind me?
Yeah. You came for the
19.
first time for David Wilson's farewell meeting.
That's it,
You've
yes,
been
correct,
coming
yes.
ever since.
Yeah, I think I didn't do as many in 19, but then like 21, last like 21 routes up and do like every still like the season ticket there, now they're every week. But it's like I've got more into the last couple. I've been lots more away meets. I've got more into last couple. I've just got more into COVID. I've done lots to do. Since I've got more committed to it now than I ever used to be. Like traveling to meetings, and that I've done more off doing like they've been at that on the computer doing the sort of pieces. I know there's more meetings, spend more money. I'm a bit quite addicted to it, to be honest.
It was like COVID. Oh yeah, this will go away. Blah blah blah. Then lockdown hit, and then you're like, oh, I want to go back and do the stuff I was doing before COVID hit. And then it started again. And you're like, I'm so grateful that this is still going. At least that's my view on it.
Yeah, I think I've done a lot more this year. This is the first. I think the last couple of years I've done a lot more away. I've made a lot more money. I'm just making a lot more committed to it and making sure that it's been survived. I just don't want to put like my heart into it now. I think being able to drive and get to meet, it makes it a lot more of a bonus as well. But just makes thing is, I don't mind a late night if I did night out and I've enjoyed myself and I've been tired the next day. Doesn't bother me. It's like a really like rubbish meeting. I don't mind the late night.
What about you, Cornelia? How did you get into it?
My grandparents took me to watch Speedway when I was about 7 or 8, I think. I'd watched like the GP at their house multiple times before that, but I was not really like interested. It was more like, wow, they're going around. But then when they took me, it was really nice, and I really fell in love with it. And then a few years later, my older sister came along too, and I've pretty much been going ever since. My whole family likes it, so that's quite fun. But my parents don't really want to go to the actual like meetings. But me and my sister go all the time. Every home meeting we go to, so that's really fun.
I find as well, I think you get like more like an open community. You might like so many friends out at speed like you wouldn't have if you didn't go out. Just like isolated, just watching online, you make so many more friends. You get more passionate about it. I think just being at the meetings, and I do so much. Like a big committee at Wolves that I'm part of, and then I'm part of doing the raffle at the Birmingham track and doing like all the helping out with the things we do on a Wednesday night and things after. It's just like can be like I say, like passionate and have nice, like friendly atmosphere.
Well, since I started running the kids club at Birmingham this season, I seem to know every diehard supporter I come across, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, you're right," and I was like, "Yeah, how are you?" Blah blah blah. You know, it's just a massive family atmosphere, and I don't understand why people wouldn't want to be a part of that. To be fair,
yeah, especially when I did the raffle at Wolves, and I'm on the turns line. You see, like fans, it's the same people every week coming through the door. And sometimes you have a little conversation with them for a minute. So as you find it right about Birmingham, as I have a conversation with them about all kinds of things. It's so friendly. Get used to what they're having every week, and just you get to know who wants to speak to you and who doesn't. It's quite a nice, friendly atmosphere.
I think it's. I had my 60th birthday at Glasgow Speedway Stadium, and they had a meeting going on, and I invited a lot of non-Speedway friends along, and because it was such a special occasion, they went, okay, we'll come and see what you've been going on about, right? 5 of them are now regulars at Glasgow. They get it. Once they saw it, they went, no, that's it. You know,
But Speedway is something you really have to see like live.
yes.
Yeah.
When you see
You have
that
to
live,
see
you're
it.
hooked.
Yeah.
Like it's
you
the
have to
whole
see
thing.
it with
It's the
your own
sounds.
eyes.
It's like it's the smell. It's the entire like atmosphere.
Well, of
It's
it, I
everything.
think, as well.
Like if you're there, you get it.
Yeah.
Like as long as it's a good game, it's a decent one.
Mhm.
You should be fine. I mean, last home meeting we had was catastrophic, and I have 2 older gentlemen behind me. They are very lovely, and one of them had their grandchild there for the first time, but he was my age, and he was there with his friends. And since it was absolutely catastrophic, he didn't have a good experience,
Oh.
which I found really sad because, like, yeah, once you just arriving there and you hear everything and you can smell it and you're just like,
Yes.
But
it's a whole thing. Like you just get there and you're in a completely different zone.
and
Yeah.
you think sometimes, like, just looking at the results, sometimes you don't actually realise, when you look at the result, but you don't actually realise sometimes how exciting the meeting's been. There could have been a whole load of racing, but the result could just be one different thing. You've actually been there to see actually what the meeting was like, not just look at it on paper, at the source.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, because you can get what looks like an absolutely crushing defeat on paper. And yet, I mean, when Glasgow went to Birmingham, there was a heck of a lot of close racing.
There was.
You know, when, you know, you had a Glasgow and a Birmingham rider vying for that last point.
Yeah, I think I remember that now. I think I ended up writing quite a lot in some of the races. I think.
And I think it really was, the result did not reflect how close racing actually was. You know,
It didn't.
But you do have to see it, you do have to hear it, you do have to smell it, and then, you know, it's so weird because, as I say, I invited all these people, and there was 11 people that had never been to Speedway before, and 5 have started coming back regularly.
That's good.
That's
half as well, half of the majority that you've invited.
Yeah. Yeah, but we shall see what happens next season now, and hopefully, because I know that at least 2 of them have mentioned to other people in the office where I work, because the office where we work is literally round the corner from the
yeah,
station.
you showed me, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, they can finish work, go to the Speedway, and then go and have a few drinks. There you go, you're ready for the weekend. It just gets your adrenaline going, and that's you ready for the weekend then.
That's one thing I like about it, but I think it's a nice, like, middle of the week thing. So you say you've had a not very good week at work. If you have a good result there, it like cheers you up then for the second half of the week then.
It breaks
If you have
the
like
week up.
if it's a bad meet, it just makes you go back to what it was and think, oh, it's not a nice thing to go back into then.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking at poor Michael here.
You can't get a word in edgeways.
No, the best chats on here are the ones where I don't have to say a lot because it means it's going well. So that's what you want, and that's what you want when the riders come on as well. Well, I am interested though, just in your views, because I think because of the length of this, what I might do is split this over 2, and do the first one this weekend and the next one next weekend, which is Cardiff weekend. So I'm wondering if you could maybe just have maybe give us some of your thoughts on Cardiff, because this part will be the second part, and then you can maybe just say who you fancy to win it, who you think might be a bit of a surprise, and any memories you've got, if any of you have been to Cardiff as well, or any thoughts on it. So who wants to start us off? So let's have a look. Cornelia, have you been? Or do you tend to watch them at home, or?
I have not been to Cardiff before, but I really wanted to go, but it would be way too expensive to like just travel there, which was really sad. I tried to figure out every single way to get there.
A free ticket.
Yeah, but I was thinking like I can swim there.
Yeah.
It was like I was like I really wanted to go because I thought it would be really cool.
One
I
big-
think it's really obvious who I think will
Yeah.
do very well.
Well, it's not to everyone else that's going to watch this.
Oh no, well damn you, Lee.
Yes.
But it's also he's been writing really well.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not just me being biased, like, to be honest, and that sounds like such an excuse. But really, it is not just me being biased. I think he's been doing great, and if it's not now, it is gonna be. But this season, he's gonna get there. I think he's gonna. But Cardiff is looking really, really well because he's in really good shape right now.
Yeah.
He's only 23. He's got plenty more career ahead.
Yeah,
of him.
he's got all the
Is-
time
is
in
it-
the world, to be honest.
And
But
this-
I also think it's gonna be fun because well, it's a really sad situation because Martin Vasilek got hurt.
Yeah.
But since they're taking in Andrzej Lebedevs,
Yeah.
he was my old favorite when he was riding for my team. Such a great person, and I think it's gonna be really fun to watch him. And I'm gonna be really excited to see what he can bring. But he's been like hurt, so I am a bit confused. But I hope we get to see him because I think that would be really fun.
I'll tell you, the opportunity to ride at Cardiff is a great painkiller.
It is.
Yeah.
The big thing they have with Cardiff is the atmosphere is amazing. You've got like so many good riders there, and the thing is, you always know the meeting will not be called off for anything. It's inside. It's all inside.
There's a roof. Yeah.
You can travel and think, oh, you know the meeting going to be on, and the atmosphere is always electric. They have lots of like the race and the heats, and like you got like 4 British riders this year. But never ever seen us have 4 British riders before. It'll be quite different.
Hence why I'm going a bit bold with who I want to see on the podium. I'd say British 1, 2, 3.
Ooh.
Whatever order they're in.
Yeah.
By Robert, Dan, Adam, maybe showing he can mix it on the world stage. We need that extra rider for the World Cup next year. Yeah, my prediction is quite bold, yes, but I'm sticking with it.
Thing is,
British
that
1,
would be
2,
quite
3.
good if those 3 finished on the top, because that would shake us all up.
It would.
Because you've got Bartis White off in the lead is miles ahead. If he hadn't reached the top 3 or 4, you're going to make it quite closer.
So
Although the vibe,
But that's not going to happen.
no, it's
Maciej
not.
Janowski's going to win Cardiff.
That's another point as well.
And that's just because he's got the bluest eyes. I mean, come on. No, I do like Maciej Janowski as a rider, and I've watched him for some time. I've been to Cardiff before with my husband, but this is my first time going to Cardiff effectively on my own, which is why I'm going down with the fan bus. However, we are already starting to organise from Ty with the Discord server to meet up with other people that are on that server that are coming to Cardiff. We're going to have a meet up in the fan zone before the meeting, and we'll probably end up on Ty's vlog because Scott will want to, but Scott is the video cameraman for Ty's vlog, and he'll want to put his nose in and that, because he did at Manchester when that was the very first time people from the server had met up.
Mm.
You know, so it's because I know Ty's quite interested in seeing.
The thing is, this year, I know you probably know a lot of people aren't probably doing it, but they're doing like 2 days at Cardiff as well. They're doing like the main event on the Saturday, then they're doing running one on the Sunday. And you haven't got, I know, they don't want to pay accommodation because it's not cheap there, and then they put the prices at like so high. But obviously this year, like they're running one thing on the Sunday, which will give you a lot of interesting, all the younger riders take part as well, which will be quite a good intensity.
Yeah, and the thing about Cardiff on the Grand Prix weekend, you walk into any cafe, any restaurant, any pub, and you'll find another Speedway fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The streets are always flooded with Speedway fans on Cardiff
It's just
weekend.
phenomenal. I mean, we're coming down the coach from Glasgow, and we're setting off at some silly o'clock in the morning, and we're
Tell me
going.
about it.
Yeah, we're doing Saturday morning. We're not coming back till Monday night because we're stopping for a couple of days, but it's still
Well,
So makes it a good
we're setting
weekend.
off on Friday morning. We're going to the Pairs at Oxford, and then we arrive in a hotel in Cardiff at some ungodly on Saturday morning, and then we do Cardiff Saturday night. We book out of our hotel. We are actually going to watch the SGP2, then all pile in the bus and get back up to Glasgow at the early hours of Monday morning. You know, so
Yeah, I think a few people have heard doing that. It's only having the one night in the hotel, but then 'cause that's at 1 o'clock on the Sunday. You've got like you've got like an evening part, then to travel back then. There's it being too late.
Yeah.
So I'm going to press you for your predictions then. So I think Cornelia's going for Dan Bewley.
Yeah.
I think we're right. Ruth, did you commit to a name there, or did you just say in English 1 to 3?
British.
3 Brits on the
Sorry,
top step.
Brits.
Don't matter what order.
Sorry there.
Don't matter what order.
Go on, give us a name. Give us a name. And we can refer back to it and see who got the right one.
Robert on the top step, Ty second, Dan third.
Ooh.
Ooh.
There we go. So we've got Dan Bewley and Robert Lambert so far. So, Lynn, are you going for Magic Genosty? Is that what you know?
Yes. Magic actually goes quite well round Cardiff. But I think Ty will mix it up. With Magic at Cardiff. There's just something about the atmosphere at Cardiff, and it does fire up the Brits.
Ty hasn't won Cardiff yet either. That's why he's mine one to win.
Yeah, he hasn't won it yet. But I think Dan will be up there. So what I'd like to see is Magic on the top with Dan second and Ty third. Because the one I went to see, it was Greg Hancock that won it. And to be quite honest, we were all rooting for Ty, but Greg won it, and we thought, well, it's Uncle Greg, you know, so yeah, we'll cheer him as well.
I can't remember who won it when I went in 2011 the first time.
Well, the good thing that we've got this year is 2 days before the Grand Prix, we're doing a Red Hancock event at the Cleveland Arms as well, so we'll get to see him and have some inside knowledge to Grand Prix and inside knowledge to his career, and that'll be quite interesting. 2 days before Cardiff on the Thursday next week.
Yes. Now, the thing is, if I'd been driving myself down to Cardiff, I'd have been there. Because I finish up work on the Wednesday. I'd have been down there and then just gone from there to Oxford, from Oxford to Cardiff. But because I'm going in the coach and I've got to be in Glasgow at 5:30 in the morning, I don't think the Cleveland Arms on the Thursday night's a bright idea.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Because I tell you at home, it's time to go back out.
Yeah. We just have to drive straight to the stadium to pick the coach up.
I'm having to do a detour. I'm having to do is it like a 40-mile detour to pick my friend up so she can come as well? So I'm being nice that evening.
He's doing the detour to come pick me up from Tamworth, and then we'll go into that event, and then he's dropping off again afterwards.
Yeah.
Who are you going for, Elliot? Then who's your pick?
I'm going to do a top 3. So I'd say Ty Woofenden first, then Matic Genosty second, and I'll probably say like someone like Robert Lambert third. I wonder if you can put Dan Bewley in the top 3. Dan did that well at Cardiff. This is his first year.
That's you off Cornelia's Christmas card list, you know that.
I think he'll probably
She's not friends with you anymore.
Top 8, but I just don't think he'll get into like the final.
It's quite embarrassing how I'm not even here, like being like, oh, I love the Swedish, I love Freddie.
Dan's
I didn't even say
rider,
top 3. I'm just saying Dan.
Quite early on his career at the moment. I think Robert could be the same as well. So he might not finish in the top 3, but the first 2, I think they're definitely going to be a high riders. It's just sad that we haven't got like sit-off riding this year, because he would have done that. He really liked Cardiff, but he can't do it because of all the problems. All I'm going to say about that. Go further.
Yeah, let's not.
Yeah. So if you were having the top 3, so you're having Dan Bewley at the top. Who else would you have, Cornelia?
Can't just say Robert. I have a fan page for them. Like this is gonna seem rigged. But I mean, it would be fun. Like imagine. I like Ruth's idea with like the Brits at the top, because I think it would be really fun. But I'm like, Who
Put it this way, you
else?
don't get any sleep in Cardiff, that's for sure. On the Saturday night. If that
Yeah,
happens.
I don't know who I would put at my top 3 other than like Dan and Robert, but like then again, there could be someone that's just gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. Today's the day. Because everything can happen.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that year Antonio Lynn back won against the odds. It happens.
Yes. Come on.
But my top 3, I'm trying to remember who's even in the GP this year. I'll say Freddie in case someone Swedish is listening. Because I do not want to get in trouble. Yes, Freddie.
You're in my dad's good books. That's my dad's favourite.
Aw.
Freddie Lingdon. And he's followed him for years. So.
He wasn't riding very well today.
No, but he's still suffering from long COVID. So the fact that he's riding at all is a miracle.
Yeah.
He gets so exhausted and he hasn't got enough lung capacity to get his breath back.
Yeah.
So, you know, the boys are putting it all on the line just for our entertainment.
That's why you can't disrespect Speedway riders. Because they literally put everything on the line when they go out on the bike for people's entertainment.
Yeah.
Which is why when people boo riders that fall off, it annoys me.
Yeah.
Because you just can't do that. Because they go out and give everything for your entertainment.
Only time I will boo someone is if they fall off and it's not even like a big deal. And then they just sit there because they know they're going to stop the race.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
and they don't walk off when they can. Obviously, we had something like that happen today, and I was upset because it's I think it's disrespectful to the other riders. That's the only time I'll be like booing someone out.
Last week in Heat 14, Drew Kemp came off, and yet he didn't even attempt to move or anything until the red lights came on.
Yeah, Gleb Shugunov did that today, and he was in a pose where he looked like he was proposing to the air fans, and I was like, oh, good times.
Because Jason Edwards had won that race, and he got robbed of that win because of the referee, but I won't go into that because I'll just get annoyed.
Guys, I'm probably going to go, but I'm happy to just keep this running if you want to carry on, and Lynn, I can make you the host if you want to carry on, and then you can keep the Zoom open.
That's the time I've got to go as well, to be fair.
No, I think we're going to have to call it quits because we're all working in the morning.
Yeah,
yes,
I was up at 7 o'clock this morning. I've had a long day up doing Commonwealth stuff, so I think
I'm an hour ahead of you, and I don't even know what time it is.
It's 7 minutes past midnight here, so it'll be past 1 o'clock for you.
Yeah.
Lucky
I think
me.
it's bedtime. I don't usually stay up this late, to be honest. It feels like it was like last on a Wednesday normally from Birmingham doing the call. I don't usually get back till like after half trials. It doesn't know. So it can be a hard working night sometimes.
Been good though. I've enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
A bit nervous at the beginning, but
oh yeah, I was super nervous. I've been panicking all evening. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna go home.
I'm used to doing online meeting when I do committing and that, but not doing online like which actually like you're live to like a group of people online. That can be a difference.
I know that the speaker for my Speedway team follows the podcast on Facebook.
Oh wow, cool.
So I was like, oh no, he's gonna come after me. No, I'm kidding. No, but I don't want anyone to be like, oh yes, we had the Smederna fan talking this week. That would be so embarrassing. It's just me talking about how much I adore Dan Bewley. But everyone on the server knows it.
Yes.
Everyone around me in the audience knows it.
I'd be crushed if he doesn't ride for you next season now.
Oh dear.
No, my side, the older gentlemen behind me have a theory that whenever me and my sister make a sign, the people that are on the sign leave the team the next year. And so we were a bit skeptical about making a sign for Dad and Robert, but we were like, you know what, let's do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he better stay, or I will cry. I'll still support him. I'll just be like, I'm on Dan Bewley's team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to say, really, just a big thanks for coming on, and it's been really interesting, just kind of getting to know more. And as you say, it's that community thing. It makes you feel that it's quite special to follow Speedway, really, because you don't get this with all sports. And this will go out. This will go out in 2 parts. So the first one will go out this Saturday, and then the second part will go out on the Cardiff day. I think that's the 13th, isn't it? So,
Yes.
but yeah, and we'll obviously make sure you get links to it and you know how to find it. And it goes out on audio and on YouTube. So look out for it. And it's been really cool. And maybe we'll do something like this again sometime.
We can act like I didn't run away for a bit. We're gonna act like that didn't happen.
We can edit that bit out. It's fine.
Yeah, me running for my life.
It's been nice since I listened to this podcast regularly, so it's been nice to be on it.
Oh, great! Oh, it's just nice to do. I think me and Lynn get a big kick out of it, and it's really good
something
fun.
different. Because into all these podcasts, I think how the riders get involved in the podcast breaks and everything. As you as well, just something different. Get fans involved, because you don't usually get fans inside very often on Speedway. It's all these like the riders or the promoters.
Well, Lynn wants to. We're going to do one in the future, Lynn, aren't we? Where we bring in lots of different people who are involved in the running of the Speedway meetings, and all different parts of the stadium team, but also, we've got mechanics lined up as well. I mean, there's quite a lot of ex-riders who are mechanics as well, so they naturally might be interested. But yeah, well, I think it's just looking at it slightly differently and not having any real scripts, keeping it fairly light. And I think it goes where it goes then.
And then when I get my shovel out and find out all your secrets.
Oh yeah, watch out for the private investigator.
Oh yeah. We know.
And if you've done anything in the last 30 years or whatever on your Facebook or any kind of social media, it will get found out.
That's what I was worried about. Lynn finding something. But yeah, it's been really good. Really enjoyed doing
Thank
it.
you guys for inviting us.
Yeah,
it's really
definitely,
nice.
yeah.
I was super surprised.
Oh, well, thank you very much for doing it at such short notice as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.